Hey you guys, today I'm going to show you how I created this makeup look. It's super simple. It's kind of a go-to look, not necessarily these exact products, but this overall kind of smoky, taupey, neutral vibe. This is something that I go to when I don't really have a lot of time to think about my makeup and I want something that's a for sure fit. Like I know I want it to look pretty and I know I want to be happy with the final outcome, but I also want to be a little bit of glamour. You know, I don't want it to just be super basic. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. My husband and I are going out to dinner and I actually have to be downstairs and dressed in like 10 minutes. So I'm going to keep this intro really short. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I'm gonna first prime my eye using a little bit of Paint Pot by MAC. This is Soft Ochre. This, I don't really know if I've ever done a video, I'm sure I have, but I think every video I do, I use this as a primer because this is just what I use, you guys. I like it because it cancels out any discoloration you might have on your eyelid. So if you have darker eyelids or little veins in your eyelids, this is gonna cancel and brighten that out. Okay, so next I'm gonna go and I'm just going to kind of dust over my entire lid from lash to eyebrow with a pretty like skin tone shade. So it's about one shade lighter than my actual skin tone and it's matte, and I'm using the Viseart palette. This is the 01 Neutral Matte palette. This is a really wonderful palette. The quality of shadows in this is just really good. And I'm just going to use this second to lightest one. It's not quite this bright white, but it's right next to it. And I'm just going to dust this all over my eyelid just to kind of set that paint pot and also help my shadows blend a little bit better. Okay, so next I'm going to go in with my like prime or my transition shade, and I'm going to use this shadow from the Viseart palette. It's, I don't really know if these have names or not, but this one is just, it's right below this really light white one. It's a pretty good transition shade. It's a little on the darker side, but it's going to work because I'm going to use darker shadows on my eyes tonight. So I'm just going to kind of pop this in my crease. This is just going to create more definition in my crease, kind of create the illusion of a more defined crease than I really have. And it's basically going to help me just blend all the other shadows together that I'm going to use tonight. You really just want this to kind of be a wash. So when I say wash of color, what I'm kind of referring to is you almost want it to be transparent, like you can kind of see through it. You want it really diffused. You don't want any sharp edges or defined lines. You just kind of want it to be a wash of color. And then I'm just going to kind of drag it down to meet my lash line. So kind of think of your crease and the outer corner of your eye meeting your lash line as a V, and that's kind of the shape I'm going to create. Again, it doesn't have to be too perfect because you really don't want it to be that defined. Once all the makeup is done, you're really not even going to notice this color. This color is just going to work as, it just helps everything look more blended, more airbrush, more professional, just prettier altogether. We're going to go in with the Natasha Denona 5 eyeshadow palette, and this is the palette number 10. This is one of my favorites when it comes to the 5 eyeshadow palettes. I think it's so beautiful. It has this really standout color here, which is just an incredible gold olive. It's gorgeous. I really don't wear it a lot, but it's still very pretty nonetheless. I'm going to use this shadow right here, which is a really great wearable everyday eyeshadow. And I'm just going to grab a flat shader brush and I'm going to load up the side of my brush with product. So I'm just going to load up the side right here pretty intensely. And then dust off any fallout. Since I do have my foundation on, I want to try and be as clean as I can and as neat. And I'm just going to go and I'm going to pack this on my eyelid, and I'm really just going to kind of press the brush against my eyelid. Not really brush and blend like I did with the previous step. I'm going to just press because I want to get the most intense payoff that I can with this, and that's the little technique that you want to do to get that. So as you can see, this color is pretty close actually to my skin tone. It's just a little, it's just shimmery. It's kind of close to the color that we used in the crease, just a little bit lighter, but it's just got a really pretty shimmery quality to it. And so I'm going to pack this all over the eyelid. This is one of those shadows that you can't really go wrong with. That's what I love it. It reminds me a lot of my favorite eyeshadow by MAC, which is Patina. That color is so beautiful. I can't tell you how many clients I have used that shadow on because it just works well with every skin tone and it's kind of goof proof. This eyeshadow reminds me a lot of that. So pretty. Okay. Okay, so next I'm gonna grab the shade right next to it in that palette. It's this really gorgeous, shimmery, kind of purpley, taupey shade. It's a little more purple than I would say taupe. Taupe to me is a brown with purple in it. This is more purple, but it is kind of the next shade up of a taupe. I'm gonna use the same brush, and I'm actually gonna wet my brush to just intensify it a little bit more so there's more of a contrast between that shade and the shade I just applied. And I'm just gonna use this Pixi Glow Time setting spray, and I'm gonna load this brush up, similar step, same thing we just did. I'm gonna load it up. Because I did wet it, there's not gonna be it decreases your chances of having a lot of fallout, so that's nice. And this color, I'm really just gonna focus on packing on the outer corner and outer half of my eyelid. What I'm going for is kind of like a smoky, neutral eye. There's not gonna be a really strong definition of light to dark, because I'm not really using a really light shade. You know, all the shades that I'm using are basically like my skin tone or just one or two below. I'm not using any shadows on my eyelid that are drastically lighter. But at the same time, I do want some depth there. So I'm gonna work this into the outer corner and press and pack it on. What I love about her shadows is they are so easy to blend. I mean, you don't have to be a pro or really experienced in eye makeup. You can be a beginner, and they're so easy to work with. And I'm just gonna take my brush and just kind of go back and forth right where those two colors meet. Because there's not a huge difference in depth in these colors, meaning that they're kind of similar in terms of lightness and darkness, I don't have to do a whole lot of blending because they blend in pretty easily. Okay, the next step I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this matte shade right here, this deep purple. It almost looks brown on camera, but it's actually really purple, dark eggplant color, and I'm gonna pop that in the outer corner. Just in the outer corner, I'm using a blending brush. It's a pretty defined blending brush though, so I can really kind of control where that product goes. It's more defined than the 224 brush, which is the brush that I used in my crease. This one allows me to have more control. So I'm just gonna get a teeny bit of product on there, and I'm gonna go in the outer corner just to deepen it up a little bit. My approach to eye makeup is always start off really soft. You can always build. It's so much easier to build than to start off really heavy and then have to correct. I do people's makeup, that's my approach too. I find that people always describe makeup differently. So some people, it's so funny, I would say half the time people say they want something really natural, and I give them my interpretation of natural, and they're like, no, I want more, I want more. But I always err on the side of like more natural beauty makeup than really dramatic makeup, because I find that people are most comfortable in looking like themselves, just a more enhanced version. So I always start softer and then I build up if I need to. Okay, so I've just kind of softly built up that outer corner to be a little darker, a little more defined. And in doing that, I kind of feel like I need to clean up underneath my lash line and kind of clean up this little line here from my outer corner to my brow. So I'm just using a damp beauty blender for that. Okay, so next I'm gonna go in and apply my brow highlight. Because I do have some shimmer on the lids, I'm gonna keep my brow highlight matte and soft. So I don't want it to be the standout. I don't want it to be something that jumps out at you. So I'm gonna go back into my Viseart palette, and I'm gonna use that white over here. Looking on camera, it's so opposite. So yeah, I'm gonna use this white over here, and I'm just gonna take a concealer brush by MAC. Any brush will work really. You just wanna use something that you can keep control of it. And I'm just gonna pop that underneath my brow. And even that, to me right now, is a little too bright. So all I'm gonna do is just kind of go back and forth. Brushes can also work as an eraser. So in that case, if you feel like you applied too much, like I just did, just go over it back and forth a few times, and it'll kind of erase any areas that you may have applied too much. I really like this palette. It's expensive, it's like $80, but I really think it's a great quality matte eyeshadow palette. So if you are looking for just a good basic matte palette that you can go to, I mean, you can get brows, eyeshadow, liner, you can get a lot of uses from this palette, and I find that I use this a lot with other palettes that I use. So it's kind of a good for the basics. Like if you need a transition shade and a brow highlight, you can always grab for that. If you like grab a fun palette like, let's say this Natasha Denona that doesn't really have a transition or a brow highlight, that's what's great for having the Viseart around. Okay, so I feel like my eyeshadow is complete. It's soft, but a little bit of glamour. I'm gonna go in and add my eyeliner. For my liner, For my liner, I'm going to use one of my favorite liners. You guys have seen me use this a million times. It's the Pixi Endless Silky Eye Pencil, and I like the shade. I like all the shades, but the shade I'm using today is the Deep Plum. I like this because this eyeliner is really pigmented and it's so soft. So it's so easy to apply. I got kind of messy with that. I mean, if you look at that line, it's messy, it's chunky, it's thick, but don't worry, because I'm going to go and use my little trusty old trick, my Easy Subtle Winged Liner, to fix this. I did do a video on this, so I will link it below, but this is my version of winged liner. I'm not a fan of myself of the very thick black liquid line. I like doing a very subtle wing like this with pencil liner, and I did a whole tutorial on it, so I will link it down below if you want like a step-by-step tutorial on how to do this, but I'm sure you can watch and kind of see how I'm doing it. The only twist to it that I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to go over this with a darker shadow to really kind of smoke it out, because I don't want this liner to be noticeable. I don't want it to be really noticeable on this eye makeup. I don't want you to notice the liner. I want the liner to just kind of blend in and just add more depth and definition at the lash line. So I'm going to go back over this with that really dark purple again that I used, where is this way, in the crease. I'm going to use this shade right here. And I don't unfortunately have my Sigma brush, so I'm using a slightly larger brush, but the brush that I like to use with this technique is in the video that I did a tutorial on, so make sure you watch it, or at least just click on the video and look in the description box, because my favorite brush for this technique is not in fact this brush. It is the one that I used in the video, and so I will make sure you check that out below. So I'm just going to go over that. Take this brush, which is just like a tiny little shader brush. It's super tiny, like a smudger brush. And I'm going to take that shadow again, and I'm just going to smudge the outer corner a little bit, almost so it's kind of like a smoky line. Okay, so next, before I work on my lower lash line, I'm going to go ahead and pop on some eyelashes. I've really been enjoying these lashes by Eylure. Eylure, is that how you say it? Eylure. By Nikki Phillipi. She is a YouTuber and beauty vlogger. I actually didn't know who she was until I saw these lashes, and I want to say Walgreens or Target, wherever I got them, and then I realized that it says vlogger series, so I figured she was on YouTube, so I checked her out. I've worn these a couple of times already. I like them just because the one thing I really like about them is they're not really heavy looking. They're very, very lightweight. Let me show you. They're very lightweight. I also like that they have a shorter inner corner and a much longer outer corner. I like that type of style of lash a lot. The Ritzy lashes by, I want to say, Ardell have this same shape, but they're a little thicker looking than this, and I like that these are lighter weight. So I'm going to pop these on, and I'm just using the glue that came with it. I kind of like that it comes with glue and that it's actually pretty decent glue. It works well. So I'm going to pop these on and I'll be right back. So one thing about these lashes that it just occurred to me as I was applying that I think is important to mention is they're not really long in the sense of like your lash line. So a lot of lashes I have to cut because they're too long. So if I applied them on my lid, they would either be too far in the inner corner or too far in the outer corner. These I find are the perfect size for me. I don't have to trim them. However, the outer corner is really long, so you want to make sure that you position them correctly. You want to make sure that you position them with the outer corner on the outer corner. You don't want to position them too far in the inner corner, because what will happen is if you position them too far to the inner corner, you'll have this long outer corner that's like shooting out from your lash line too early. Does that make sense? So too as close to the outer corner of your eye, if that makes sense. So if it's easier to just add mascara to the inner corner to kind of blend them in than to try and, if you don't get them out far enough, to try to add enough mascara that'll build a long enough lash to blend them in. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. So, okay, I'm going to let those dry, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the face and come back to the lower lash line. Blush, I'm going to do something kind of peachy pink. I found this Bobbi Brown palette that I bought a while back. It's just 3 different shades. I don't even know if they carry this anymore. I will see if I can find it anywhere. If not, I'll just link a similar blush down below. And I'm just going to use the one on the outest part that is more pink than the other two. One has a lot of shimmer and then one is pretty coral. I'm going to use the real pinky one, and I'm just going to pop this on the apples on my cheek. I did apply bronzer earlier. So when I started the video, I had on foundation, concealer, eyebrows, and bronzer. So we have a little bit of bronzer. I'll link everything down below though. So I'll link the foundation I used. I'll link everything, even if I didn't use it on camera, so you guys know. Okay, so I like like rosy cheeks, so I'm not shy on the cheeks. So I'm going to use the Kryolan contour pencil. I think this is the shade 905. I love these pencils. They're a lip liner. I think it's shade 925. I've used it before in a video. Is my favorite nude, like rosy lip pencil. It's amazing. And they're like $7 and they're super long. I mean, look how long this guy is. This is huge. I mean, compare it to like another, let me try and find another, like this is like another eye pencil. Granted, it's been sharpened a little bit, but so has this one. I mean, that shows you the difference in size, right? Here, this might be better. And this one's $7 and this one's like 20. So next I'm going to go and I'm going to line my lower lash line. I'm going to use that Endless Silky Eye Pencil again. Because this is real creamy, I'm just going to apply it on the outer half and then I'm going to just blend it all the way in. So I'm not going to take the pencil all the way to the inner corner because that's going to distribute too much product. I'm just going to apply enough to where I can work with it and blend it inward. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So if you see, I stopped in the inner corner of my eye, but I was able to drag that product all the way to the inner. This is also going to kind of remove any excess product that you have, so you're not going to deal with like smudging or transferring into your concealer. A lot of times when people complain that their mascara or their eyeliner like smudges throughout the day, it could be a lot of different reasons. One of them being that the liner you're using is too waxy and you're applying too much of it. So if you do apply too much of it, it's really important that you go over with a brush to remove it or you use a shadow to set it. So I'm going to do both those steps. For the shadow, I'm going to go ahead and use, I'm going to use this lighter one. I was kind of going back and forth. Should I use the lighter or the darker? Okay, should I use the lighter or the darker? It's so weird looking at a screen and everything's opposite. I'm going to use the lighter one because the eyeliner is pretty dark that even going over it with a lighter one, I'm still going to have a good intensity there. And this is just going to kind of soften. So doing this step is really going to set it all. So I'm not going to have to worry about having dark smudges throughout the night. Okay. Okay, so next I'm just going to apply a little coat of mascara. I had a little bit on my natural lashes from earlier, but I'm going to apply a little bit more just to blend my natural lashes into the falsies and also to put on the bottom lashes just a tiny bit. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Full Fat Lashes. This mascara, you guys, I am loving it. I find it's not as dramatic as the Chanel Volume. It's pretty close, not as dramatic. I compared the two and I did find that the Chanel was just more thickening, but this one I find is more curling. Like I think that this one holds my curl all day. So I like that a lot, which in turn will make your lashes look longer because if they're curled up, they're gonna have more length. So anyway, I like them both, but I've been using that one lately. Okay, so let's just go ahead and finish this look with lips. My friend turned me on to this lipstick by Revlon. What is it called? It's called I think it's like the Ultra HD lipstick or something like that. Anyway, it looks like this. This is the tube. If you go to the Revlon little display, you'll see it. I mean, they just have lipsticks or glosses, and then they have this guy. This is a new formulation. She was like, you have to try it. So I picked up the shade HD Pink Cloud. I'm going to kind of take off this lip gloss that I had on. But I love these lip glosses. Not lip glosses, lipsticks. One, they smell good. I like the way they smell. Two, they feel so comfortable on the lips. They are so moisturizing, but they're not really glossy looking. They don't have a super glossy finish. This might have a little bit of one because I did have a gloss on before, but they're not a gloss at all. And it's not a matte lipstick because it's not as, I wouldn't say it's as pigmented as a matte lipstick, but it's very pigmented. It's pigmented enough, you know what I mean? It's really, really, really comfortable on the lips. It feels so good. It almost feels like a lip balm, to be honest, but it has a lot more color than, say, like a tinted lip balm. Hey, you guys, so that is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know what you think about this look. I think it's really pretty. I actually like this a lot. It incorporates a little bit of plums, a little purple, so if you have blue or green eyes, this is going to be a gorgeous way to incorporate purple and plums to complement the green and blue in your eyes, but not look crazy, right? But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know in the comment section below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!